What's up, guys? Rick here with your DFS preview for this week's Safeway Open. That's right. I hope you enjoyed your 12 hours off for the off season because the 2020-2021 schedule is here. Brand new schedule, brand new season, ready to rock and roll. A few announcements off the top. The Run Good One and Done starts this week. If you're just hearing about it for the first time right now, I apologize, but you have missed the deadline, so no exceptions. I can't make any more exceptions, but we got over 350 users, and hopefully we'll have more next time, so keep an eye out for things to come. A quick update on the giveaway that I did last week, which was an entry into the one and done. Congratulations to Jack Young and Eden Cohen. I've already contacted you. You're already all good. Congrats. And then also, I got a bunch of screenshots, and I'm getting a lot of screenshots and a lot of messages each week as the community grows, as we continue to have great success. I don't want to spend the first 20 minutes of the show shouting everyone out, but I do want to point out a couple of interesting ones, and maybe some people that I haven't mentioned before, just as an opportunity to, hey, praise the wins. You know, it's hard to win at DFS or at betting, and if you had a win, feel free to share it with me, and I want to share it with the community. So Matt Cullen, congratulations. He won the mini max, so turn that 25 cents into $400. That is a great contest if you want to max enter, if you want to throw a bunch of lineups into something. It's a great little contest. Michael Rapphole won $937. Congratulations. Michael Bischoff turned his $233 into $2,178 on DraftKings, and Mark Scroggins won $2,227. Congratulations. There were many more. I just narrowed it down to the ones that I had handy or the ones that I thought were interesting at the time of recording this. Congratulations to everyone. If you would like to join the community, the Rick Run Good community, get access to all of the tools that you're going to see in this video and all season long, I highly encourage you to do so. But if you'd like to win a free month, there are two ways to enter that drawing. If you're watching on YouTube, you can make sure to subscribe to the Rick Run Good YouTube channel, like this video, and tell me below who's going to win the Safeway Open. The other way is leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts for the podcast called 300 Yards to Unknown. It is the audio version of this feed, and it will be linked in the description. Leave a 5-star rating and review, say something nice about the show, and leave me your Twitter handle so I can get in touch with you. Both of those ways will get you an entry to win a free month to RickRunGood.com. I think that is about all we have for announcements this week. Because it's a short week, because the Tour Championship ended on Monday and it's a quick turnaround this time, I'm going to try to keep the preview a little bit tight just so I can get it out there and you can consume it all, but I'll still try to get as much content out there as possible this week. All right, let's do it. Safeway Open. All right, we are teeing it up in Napa, California for the Safeway Open. Silverado Resort and Spa. Yeah, it is literally a resort course. We are going to see little rough, and at least the rough will not be very penal. It is the full traditional par 72. That means you get the 4 par 5s. And I think the most noteworthy thing about Silverado is it is one of the shorter par 72s that we get on the PGA Tour. I think there's actually only 2 regular par 72s that are shorter than Silverado. AT&T or Pebble Beach is one of them, and the other one is, I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure Silverado is third. So what does that mean? Well, bombers, of course, I guess will be able to take it apart even better than normal, but it does not eliminate the short hitters, right? I mean, all the par 5s, which you're going to have to dismantle. I think the longest one is 560 yards, something like that. All of them are between like 520 and 560. Most of the field can get there in 2, or at least get it up by the green in 2, depending on, the conditions for that week. So I don't think it rules out the short hitters, and of course the long hitters are going to have a bit more of an advantage trying to tear this one up. I have the bent grass statistics in here. Of course, we've we didn't even have an off season. We were just rolling in from last year. So that's where you've got your career statistics in here for putting on bent grass. So you've got a couple of specialists that, quite frankly, they're would be considered value plays at best. Akshay Bhatia, I believe is how he pronounces that. Remember, he was the amateur, came on the scene. I think he's a big, tall, lanky lefty. He doesn't have a lot of rounds on the PGA Tour, only 15 of them measured. In fact, Doug Gim, that's a name we've seen before, but not as much recently on the PGA Tour. Kirat Afi Barnrat. But your first real specialist that you might consider rostering would be Henrik Norlander. Norlander gained a lot of steam at the end of last season, made a bunch of cuts in a row, had a handful of top 25 finishes. He is a guy who putts better on bent grass than other surfaces. So that would constitute him being a quote-unquote specialist. The anti-specialists, the guys that struggle on bent compared to other surfaces, again, a lot of guys in the low $6,000 range that you might not be considered playing. And then you get to Charlie Hoffman. He's probably the first big name of guys that you actually might roster. He is about 0.3 of a stroke worse on bent grass than his actual strokes gained putting number. So he's someone that I'd probably stay away from if you're interested, if you put a lot of credence into the bent grass and the grass surface aspect of all of this. Scrolling down a little bit to the key stats. Silverado. We have good course history for Silverado. I believe it has played host for at least, 4 or 5 years. It could be even longer than that. This used to be the Fries.com Open. Remember all that. So it's like, we have good course history here. And the most important of the common stats, birdie or better percentage, 4th. That means there are only 3 other courses on the PGA Tour in which birdie or better percentage is more important. And it makes sense, right? I mean, we haven't seen complete shootouts here. 17, 18 under par is usually the winning score, but that's deep enough. And what this really means is the guys that profile as birdie or better makers tend to find good success here. I mean, you look at the leaderboard from last year, Cameron Champ, who's not going to be around to defend his title. In fact, there is not a single player who played the Tour Championship who's going to be playing the Safeway Open, which makes sense because the U.S. Open is next week. So all those guys taking the week off. I mean, you can just look at, and you have to remember this was a year ago, but the cream really did rise to the top a little bit here at the Safeway Open. Cameron Champ won it. Adam Hadwin, Mark Leishman, Justin Thomas, all in the top 5. Now those are Colin Morikawa finished 10th, Bryson finished 13th. Now it's a weaker field. Now some of these guys have struggled recently, like Mark Leishman, but the cream, or what is available of it at the Safeway, which we'll talk about in a little bit, does tend to rise to the top. And then driving accuracy and driving distance were 2nd and 3rd here. So I found this interesting. We mentioned driving distance not necessarily being a prerequisite for success here, but being one of those things that is always going to be helpful. And then the fact that driving accuracy is the second most important stat, I think does really cement my theory that shorter hitters are not out of it this week. Because usually if you are hitting a lot of fairways, you are on the shorter side, right? There's very few guys that can hit it far and hit it accurately. So that is driving accuracy tends to be the shorter guys. So the fact that they've had such success here, I think it just proves my point that because this is a short par 72, no one is out of it based on their driving distance off the tee. Let's look at this week's field and see who the birdie or better percentage guys are for this week. Seamus Power leads the field in birdie or better percentage. He's $6,700, followed by Chesson Hadley at $7,000. Charlie Hoffman, a name we've already mentioned twice, at $7,500 is 3rd. And then Cam Davis at $8,900. I think that's a name you're going to be hearing a lot about. We'll talk about Cam Davis when we hop over to the cheat sheet in a second. He's someone who's probably going to make a lot of my lineups. Nice to see him here racking up birdies. Denny McCarthy, who relies on that putter, who has been in a decent stretch of golf, at least at the end of last season, $7,900. He makes a ton of birdies. He's up here as well. And remember, this is all relative to the field, right? I mean, Seamus Power, yes, he leads this field in birdie or better percentage, but I don't know what let's find out. what his actual ranking on the PGA Tour is in that category. This is a fairly weak field with just a handful of guys at the top. I thought I could pull it up quickly here. Yeah, okay, he's actually 6, so he does make a lot of birdies. Christopher Ventura, another guy you might hear a bit of rumblings about. He's 7,000. He's maturing a little bit. The game's rounding into form. Big-time birdie maker there. You'll notice there are none of the $10,000 guys here, right? None of them. I mean, there's not even a guy above $9,000 in the first 25 guys. In fact, the first guy over $9,000 is Harold Varner III. He's like 20th. And then Doc Redman is like 22nd. Eric Van Rooyen, they're like all in the 20s. So it's going to be a weird roster construction week. Again, we'll talk about that in just one moment. And then driving distance and driving accuracy, I'll show you those guys. Ryan Brehm, Grayson Murray, Brandon Hagee, Sam Burns, Tyler McCumber all lead the way in terms of driving distance. Again, not necessarily a prerequisite. Patrick Rogers, interesting play. We'll talk about him. And then driving accuracy, you'll see when you go to driving accuracy, you lose the distance. The first guy who can kind of do a little bit of both is my buddy, friend of the pod, Doc Redman, who not only is top 12-ish in driving accuracy, he's the only one of those guys who averages it who hits it further than 290 yards on average. He hits at 297. So that is probably the best combination, him and Josh Teeter, of accuracy and distance. Let's jump over to this cheat sheet and talk about this composition of the player pool. There are 5 golfers over $10,000. Siwoo Kim leading the way. Phil Mickelson, Matt Kuchar, Shane Lowry, Brendan Steele. Then below that, you get Sergio Garcia and Jordan Spieth. I would argue, I mean, I guess maybe outside Siwoo Kim, who has played better recently, although consistency is definitely going to be an issue with Siwoo. Like, all of these guys are just here on name value alone, right? They haven't done all that much. I mean, I understand Phil Mickelson won the Champions Tour event that he played a couple of weeks ago, but that was the Champions Tour. There's a big issue with Phil on the PGA Tour. Like, the game's not strong. We'll jump over to the strokes gain database here, and I can pull up Phil. And his season ranks, off the tee, on approach, around and putting, he's outside the top 100 in all of those categories. The only thing that's going well for Phil is his short game, is getting up and down. And it's because of the wedge, not the putter. So he's not even being bailed out by this magical putter anymore. He does not gain. Look at this. He's negative in so many different categories. He's loses strokes off the tee regularly. He loses strokes on approach regularly. He loses a lot of strokes putting occasionally. Like, it hasn't been a good run for Phil. I could not conceive a way to play him or invest in him. I know he's got pretty decent course history around here. In fact, I think he's actually leading the field in average strokes gained at the Safeway over the last 4 years. But I mean, come on, that was I'm trying to think about what he's going to do here in the 2021 season. And then Brendan Steele, who I generally hate the concept of paying for the guy who won back-to-back in 2017, 2018, and you're just paying for all this course history in a weak field. Like, I actually don't mind it as much this week. It is such a poor field and such a weirdly constructed field that I don't think I actually mind it as much this week. I can pull up Steele's numbers here, and you can see, I mean, his last 6 starts. So Travelers Championship to the BMW Championship, he gained at least 1.8 strokes on approach. So every single one he gained, and he gained at least 1.8 in each single event. He was great off the tee, except at the BMW Championship. The putter is always going to be kind of all over the place. You can see he lost 7 strokes at the Workday. He gained 9 at the Travelers on the greens. Like, it's all over the place. But when you take the ball striking, which I believe to be, one of, if not the most important stats on the PGA Tour, and you combine it with the great vibes and great feels he has around Silverado, and you look at the other guys at the $10,000 range, like, Steele is probably still the best option. And I hate it. It goes against kind of the way I normally do this, but I think it might be right this week. I could really not blame you if you wanted to start your lineups in the $9,000 range. Jordan Spieth is here. I will probably not be investing in Jordan Spieth, but I do think that there is an interesting aspect of, I think Spieth is kind of so broken that he needs to like take a break and figure everything out. And I thought the 91-day break for the COVID shutdown and him coming back to Colonial, a place that he's had success, I thought that was going to be like, that was an interesting time to invest in it because we hadn't seen any play. And if he's been working through things and if he found a fix in the time that he had off, we would see it at Colonial. I also kind of feel that way here, which is, he played the Northern Trust, so he played a couple of weeks ago. But if he found something, if he was able to work on something over the past couple of weeks, we would see it here. It's trying to invest early. Again, I'm not nearly as optimistic. I'm not excited about it, but there is this tiny case to be made for if you're going to play Spieth, play him now and not in future weeks. I think the best option here in the nines is probably Joel Damon. Let's go to his strokes gain database here and pull up his results because he has been excellent coming down the stretch. Now, he did not make the Tour Championship, but it was not for lack of trying. He finished 20th at the BMW Championship. He did miss the cut at the Northern Trust. That probably cost him. But a 10th place finish at the PGA and a 20th at the World Golf Championships, the FedEx St. Jude version of this. So 3 of his last 4 starts, he has compiled top 20 finishes, and those are all way deeper fields than what we are going to get this week at Silverado. This feels like a perfect opportunity for Joel Damon, who has never won on the PGA Tour, who is in the prime of his career right now, playing the best we've ever seen him play, to take advantage of this weaker field. That to me feels like a very good natural starting point for lineups, and I would not even blame you for skipping everybody else at the top. EVR, I like from a just overall long-term standpoint. However, doesn't putt well on bent, hasn't had too much success recently. In fact, we only saw him at the PGA Championship. He finished 51st there. Not as excited. I am excited for my buddy Doc Redman, friend of the pod, 9,200. I already showed you that he is not only long, he is accurate. He is a great ball striker. He finished 3rd at the Wyndham. I mean, his game is maturing. It's coming into form. He kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit by missing the cut at the Northern Trust, and he ended up finishing 1 spot out of the BMW Championship. He was the bubble boy. He finished 71st. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to extend his season, but now with a couple weeks off, interested to see how Doc comes back. And then I kind of want to live. I want to live here. Like Doc Redman, Harold Varner at 9,100, Cameron Davis at 89. Cam Davis coming in with 4 consecutive cuts made, no worse finish than 32nd. We saw him touch the lead at the Wyndham Championship before he kind of imploded, I guess is probably the best way to put this. And that's okay. He's a 25-year-old Australian who has a ton of raw skill. He's going to put himself in contention and he's going to fail. And that happens a lot for young golfers, but the more you put yourself in there, the more scar tissue you build, the more comfortable you are the next time. 2 trips to Napa, missed the cut last year, finished 17th 2 years ago. I'm gaining a lot of steam on Cam Smith this week. Not gaining steam on Keegan Bradley. Let me show you the Holy Grail for a second. So this is a tool, if you've not seen this tool, it's my favorite tool in the whole world because you can just filter and slice anything, any way in terms of the strokes gain data for the last 6 seasons. And what I want to actually do is pull up, I think I did I do it since the restart or did I do it since, let me see what I did here, 6/1/2020, since the restart. And then I sorted this by basically the worst guys in the field. And this is their average strokes gained since the restart. And you can see all of these guys who are at the bottom of the field, they're all under $7,000, every single one of them. Then you get to Harry Higgs, he's 7,200. But the first couple of guys that pop off that are really struggling, I mean, Brandt Snedeker, he's the first guy over like $7,500 when you sort by the worst golfers, and he's 9,300. He's losing a half a stroke to the field over his last 24 rounds. Like, I I could not touch that. Keegan's been bad too. Where's Keegan on this list? Grillo's on here. Oh, here's Keegan. Keegan's $8,800. He's lost strokes to the field since the restart. There's only a handful of golfers who have done that are over like 7,500. So it's Keegan, it's Emiliano Grillo, it is, Danny Lee, he's withdrawn, so he's out. And then Snedeker. Basically, those three guys are the only three guys over $7,500 who have lost strokes to the field in the restart. So I can't imagine I'll be investing too much in those three, even though they're kind of more householdy names that when you get a field like this, people want to play the household names. I'm not nearly as interested. I can stay over here and show you the top of this list. So what I've got right now is since the restart, every golfer in this field loaded in, sorted by their total strokes gained. Chris Baker actually leads the way. He's $6,400. So when you get down into the sub 7K of any field, it starts to get pretty ugly. When you start to get down into the sub 7K of the first event of a season that is pinned immediately between the Tour Championship and the US Open, it is going to be really ugly. Okay, so if you can get Chris Baker, who's gaining over a stroke per round to the field. Now, I understand it's only 12 rounds. He's only played 3 events, or I don't know if it's 3 events or 4 events. I think it's got to be 3 events. It's only 12 rounds. It's a very small sample size, but the way he's also doing it is via approach, which is always a good sign. Will Gordon is second on this list. Henrik Norlander is third. Cam Davis, see that name again, is fourth. Those are the only 4 guys in this field who are averaging over 1 stroke gained per round since the restart. Sam Burns is 5th. Siwoo Kim is 6th. Brendan Steele is 7th. Harold Varner the 3rd is 8th. So those are the guys that I'm living with right there. The Norlander, Davis, Steele, Varner. Then you go down a little bit further. You get Doc Redman. You get Wesley Bryant. Like that. That sounds like a core to me, right? I don't know if all those guys can get into a lineup, but those are the guys I'm going to live with because I think they are the class of this very weak field. We could talk about Wesley Bryan and here as well. Let's pull up Wesley Bryan's numbers. So I want to go to tournament data. We'll do Wesley Bryan. You have to remember, Wes Bryan, he basically missed 2 full seasons with a shoulder injury. He had surgery. I think he tried to play through it for a while. Then he had surgery and he missed another year. So he basically missed 2 full seasons. He just came back. So he only played 4 events in 2020, and it was after the restart. So it was RBC Heritage, Travelers, Rocket Mortgage, and Wyndham. The last 3, no worse than a 31st place finish. He made the cut in all 4. And if you look at this number right here, it's the strokes gained approach. Absolutely lights out with his approach game. Lights out. He was phenomenal. He's a streaky putter. We saw him roll some putts in at Rocket Mortgage. We saw him be bad at Wyndham and the RBC Heritage. But the big thing about Wes is this. He is one of the shortest hitters on the PGA Tour, which normally kills you, right? I mean, it's just so hard on the PGA Tour. However, I've already mentioned shortest or one of the shortest par 72s that we get on the schedule. So if there's ever a place to deploy someone like a Wes Bryan, I think it's right now. Mark Hubbard at 8,100, certainly gaining steam. He's made 5 straight cuts, a couple of top 30 finishes in his last handful of starts. He finished 13th in here last year. Certainly have no problem playing Mark Hubbard. I have no problem playing Denny McCarthy. I have no problem playing Patrick Rogers at 76. So Patrick Rogers, he's interesting because he does hit it a long way. Okay, he's one of the I think he's 18th in driving distance on the PGA Tour. He pops up occasionally, right? Top 20 at the Memorial, top 20 at the Barracuda, finished 32nd at the 3M. He makes a lot of cuts, and then he's had a good run of success here, I believe, at this event. So let's find the full history for Patrick Rogers. Here we go. So he's played here 6 times. He's made the cut in 4 of his last 5, and he has a 6th place finish in 2016. When you put all that together, yeah, I think I could probably be convinced on Patrick Rogers. That's okay. What else do we have down here? I won't really probably buy the Charlie Hoffman thing. I know he's popped up a handful of times in the last couple of weeks. He's alternated, 7th at the Workday, then a missed cut. 25th at the Barracuda, then a missed cut. 13th at the Northern Trust, then this week, maybe a missed cut. He's only played in Napa twice, missed the cut in both of those. He's just wildly inconsistent. He is essentially a bent grass anti-specialist, not someone that I'm too particularly keen on rostering. And I wonder if I do start my lineups in the $9,000 range and I avoid all of that 10K stuff, I'm not even sure I have to go too much lower down the board than this, right? I can live with Wes Bryant, Patrick Rogers as potentially being my last guys into my lineup. I wonder if that I haven't started constructing lineups yet, but I do wonder if I even have to go this low. Christopher Ventura is here at 7,000. I mentioned him earlier. He popped up on the key stats a bit. So he's someone that he doesn't really do it the way that I like. He's not a very good approach player. He's not very good around the greens, but he can put some finishing positions together. Oh, Zinzun Zhang, $7,000. Interesting. If you want safety, go in a different direction. Because in his last 6 starts, he's missed the cut in 4 of them, but the other 2, he finished 10th at the Memorial and 12th at the 3M. And he's only played here twice, and that includes a 7th place finish last year in Napa. So it would be a wild flyer. I'm not super excited about it. If you wanted a safer option at the same price point, you could go with Adam Schenk. Adam Schenk, I think, has made 6 straight cuts coming into this. He's $6,900. He has missed 2 of his 3 cuts here at Silverado, but his one made cut was a 14th place finish. So a little bit of more safety in a already volatile pricing tier, even more volatile by the types of golfers that you are getting here this time around because of the weaker nature of this field. I'm probably not going much lower than this. I talked about Chris Baker at $6,400, 3 straight cuts made coming in, including a 20th place finish at the Wyndham. That's the last time that we saw him. I am probably not going any lower than this. There are some pretty sour names down here at the bottom of the board, a lot of missed cuts, a lot of strokes lost to the field, just a lot of struggling golfers. And if I'm going to construct a more balanced build, I probably don't need to go this low. I do want to run one custom model before we get out of here because especially in a week like this, I think it's important because there's so many new names. There's so many variables. I think we should run a custom model. So what I'm going to do, I know that, what was my, birdie or better. Birdie or better was a very important stat. So we're going to put 30 of our weights on birdie or better. We're going to do 20 on accuracy and 20 on distance. Now, those could be 2 separate types of golfers, but if you find the intersection, like I think we might find with Doc Redman, I think we might find with, like Josh Teeter might show up okay on this model as well. I think that's important. Par 5s, I'm going to do 15 on par 5s because there's 4 of them this week and we haven't had a par 72 in quite some time. And then I have 15 weights remaining, which I'm just always going to go back to my favorite strokes gained from tee to green. And we're going to run this model and oh boy, am I in trouble. Johnny Vegas is my number 1 golfer. Do I hate that or do I hate that? He has been so poor and missing a ton of cuts. I mean, I get it. He's very good off the tee. He does make enough birdies. I will not blindly follow the model this week. Maybe I'll get a couple of lineups with Johnny Vegas just in case, but I am going to veto the model, I think, on that one. Cam Davis finishing second. That's no surprise. Playing well coming in. Matches up on the birdie or better stuff. That makes complete sense. Seamus Power, Chesson Hadley, Harold Varner III, Will Gordon, EVR, Josh Cheater, Doc Redman. Those are my top guys. Kevin Streelman's next. Notice again, there is not a single golfer over $9,500. I think that, and this might come back to bite me here, I really kind of think that 10K range is a farce this week. I think it's a farce. I just think you are paying for first event of the season, name recognition. There's not a lot up there to be excited about. I think I'm avoiding it. We'll see as the week goes on, but everything that I do kind of cements that notion for me. All right, that's it. I tried to make that tight. That was just as long as every other video that I ever do. So sorry about that. I'll get this posted as quickly as possible. If you have any questions, any comments, want to talk about this, tweet me at RickRunGood or leave a comment below. Best of luck this week. And here's to the 2021 season. Good luck.